My name is Eva Bredsdorff. I'm the Senior Museum Curator of Powysland Museum in Welshpool. Powysland Museum is one of the oldest collections in Wales. It dates from the end of the 19th century and was, up till about 20 years ago, housed in a purpose-built museum building in the town. However, in 1989, we moved down here to a converted warehouse by the Montgomery Canal. The museum consists of 4 galleries, 3 permanent exhibition galleries which depicts the archaeology and social history of the area, which is Montgomeryshire, and 1 gallery which is dedicated to temporary exhibitions, of which we have between 4 and 6 a year. Obviously, the process for applying to any grant-giving body varies from the organisation to organisation. If we're looking for the HLF Heritage Lottery Fund, and if you're looking at the Your Heritage pot of money, then the first thing you do is you write a pre-application. The pre-application can be found on HLF's website. It's very, very easy to do. It will ask you for an overall idea about your project. It will ask you for why this project is of relevance to the heritage, and it will ask you questions about who the project will reach, what kind of people, and then obviously it will also ask how much money you want. So it's fairly simple. It shouldn't take that long. It should also make you think about the aims and the objectives of your project and what you really want to do. Because sometimes you have a fantastic idea, but it's actually not until you are asked to focus and to put these ideas into writing that you think about the weaknesses or you think about the strengths. So the first thing is to do for the Heritage Lottery is to do a pre-application. You send that off, and within a couple of weeks, maybe a bit longer, depending on how many applicants they do have, you get an answer back from a case officer. That case officer will give you his idea about your project, how he perceives your project, and he will also guide you in whichever direction that Heritage Lottery wants you to take. I've been involved in a number of Heritage Lottery funding projects. I think my favourite one and the most recent one is from 2008, where the museum did an exhibition on Queen Alexandra. Now, the reason for the interest in Queen Alexandra is the fact that I'm Danish, and so was she. She was also the longest reigning Princess of Wales ever, and obviously then she became an incredibly popular Queen of England. Now, the funding for this project came from the Heritage Lottery Fund, and it came from Your Heritage. I started off with a pre-application form to the lottery, and that came back with some really good advice. And the main advice was, we will not fund an exhibition only. You will need to do other things that are related to the exhibition. So that formed my whole application. So when we put in the application, it was of course for the exhibition itself, and the exhibition was very, very ambitious. It included loans from the Royal Collections in Denmark, the Royal Archives in Denmark, the Royal Collections over here, the V&A, the National Portrait Gallery. So there was very big people to play with, or very big organisations to play with. So that was the exhibition. So that in itself was expensive, but then we added to that all these events that would make the exhibition more inclusive, which is what the Heritage Lottery Fund is very much about. For HLF, the importance is access to collections, access to items or to knowledge that is not normally seen or known. The other one is community engagement. So it's not just getting the schools in, it's getting other people in as well, adult learners, the third age, getting them all involved, and you have to show that your project will do that. If you can, you work with volunteers. So you write your application, make sure that you get all your expenses in, make sure that you really have thought about how much it's going to cost. Make sure that you put in contingency. That is really important. The contingency, you may never use it. You may not have to use it, but if you have to, then it's there. And the good thing about this HLF is when you come to the end of your project and you haven't used your contingency, well, maybe there are some extra little bits and bobs that you want to do and you can then use it. But I would say that contingency, do not overlook that. It is really important. Once you've got all your facts straight and everything is ready, and you add as much additional documentation as you can possibly, do. For instance, for the Queen Alexandra exhibition, I added about 5 pages of how Queen Alexandra was relevant to Wales. So all these little bits of information was brought together with the application as an appendix. Another appendix was all the activities that HLF wanted us to do. You can get help from your own organisation, and for instance, I work for Powys County Council. We do have a lottery officer, and she is certainly very, very helpful. I would always say that if you if you work for a local authority, then obviously it's your funding officers, and there will be funding officers in most local authorities. If you're an independent museum, you should have a curatorial advisor. And you can always go to the curatorial advisor, especially if that curatorial advisor has had success with their own lottery bids. Then that will be your obvious starting point. The 5 most important points in order to make a successful application is, first of all, find the right organisation to give you the money. Read their guidelines really well. Make sure that your application fits their criteria. Make sure that when you write your application, you have taken aboard any advice the organisation may have given you, and that you follow that advice. And lastly, make sure that all your facts and figures are correct and realistic. And I think the last bit is really important, because when it comes to your actual project, you want your project to be on time and on budget.